Drag Race Philippines' attempt at an All-Stars World season, properly titled Slaysian Royale, has ended this week. I don't know whenever you're watching this. I think it was a very solid season. I would give it a very strong 7 out of 10. It was a little too predictable in the sense that we knew that Filipina Queen was going to win it, and a lot of the judging was more complimentary of the Filipina Queens, but I think that's just something that could have been expected. There weren't that many season-long storylines, but rather episode or a couple of episode-specific storylines, and I don't think any of the lip-syncs, except for the lip-sync in the penultimate episode, episode 9 of the season, were good. But the runways were incredible, challenge performances were incredible. Today, I will rank the cast based on their track records in the season. Slaysian Royale did a very similar thing to All-Stars 10, where there were two different formats of judging in the season, so yet again we have to look at percentages. During the first 6 episodes of the season, this was the format. Then in the second part of the season, in episodes 7, 8, and 9, it was this format, mostly used in regular seasons of Drag Race, and then we add those two percentages together for the queens, we divide them by 2, I mean we don't really have to, but like we should, and then we get the queens' final scores. But before we get into the ranking, I just want to thank everybody who has become a member of the channel so far, and if you want to become a member, you can. You're going to get exclusive content and also early access to videos, such as this one. But if you are unable to help, you can support the channel by liking the video, subscribing of course, or checking if you're subscribed, and commenting what you thought of this season. Who was your favorite queen? Do you agree with the winner? And everything of the sort. In the last 12th place, it's Madame Yoko, who was the first queen eliminated in the season, so she earned no points throughout it. Since Madame Yoko is the first eliminated queen of the season, she didn't leave quite an impression on me, especially because I also did not watch her original season of the show. Somebody always has to go first, and this time it was Madame Yoko. Next, in the 11th place, just like originally, it's Something Wong, a queen whose name I'm always like, am I allowed to make this joke? Am I allowed to say this? Now, Something was kind of a mess in this season. I do think that she did get a bit of a unfair edit in episode 2. To me, she was the best person of her group. I do not agree with her bottom 2 placement there. She also, as we saw, was the leader of her group. She also helped choreograph and everything. So it's like, okay, you put her in the bottom 2 because she forgot to stand out during her ad-lib moments? I don't know. I think that was a very weird critique. I think that Something Wong is maybe the only queen, well, actually no, there is another one, who left the season with a pretty bad edit. Next, in the 10th place, we have yet another non-Filipina queen, Ivory Glaze. Ivory's elimination and her entire story with her mom and everything was so heartbreaking to watch. You could tell that she was not still ready for an all-star season or for, you know, her second attempt at winning Drag Race, but I do think that she has a very unique take on her drag. Pretty much everything she wore was very good or interesting in concept, but the execution was kind of lacking. The dress that she wore in episode 10 was absolutely gorgeous, and I can imagine that if there ever is a Down Under All-Star season, or maybe even another Versus the World season, or something that Ivory gets cast on, I think that she could come onto there and be a very strong fashion queen. We finally get a little deviation from the actual elimination order with Brandy in the 9th place. Brandy was the Delulu queen of this season, so she kept being safe, she kept being unimpressive, but she still came after queens that had high or top 2 placements, and she was like, well, no, wait, baby, neither of us were ever in the bottom 2, so we have the exact same track record. And then you had Suki, my absolute legend, Suki being like, well, no, that's not how it works. She was in the top 2 and you were always safe. You were on the bench constantly, or in the workroom rather, on the couch. I don't know, I'm never really a fan of queens who are just doing drag for the sake of being pretty and like fierce and whatever. It doesn't excite me. From the get-go, it was kind of obvious that she was the weakest link out of the 5 Filipina queens there. And speaking of the queen that Brandy went after for having the same track record as her, which again, not true, it's Kitty Space. I don't know if this is just like every French person ever, but but every single one of her confessionals was literally like, oh, ho, ho, oui. Like, she's so French. Like, it's insane. Her runway looks were some of my favorites, and this is, in a season that had such incredible runway looks from Suki to Viñas to Khianna, and obviously now Kitty. She has such an interesting mind for design. The construction of the look that she wore in the top two is insane. How did she do it? How did she come up with it? Like I've said, I did not watch Kitty Space's original season, and even if I did, she was only there for like 3 episodes. I would not have seen much, but just her eye for fashion, it's so interesting and very unique, and it's kind of hard to be unique nowadays in drag, for Drag Race at least. So yeah, I had a good time watching Kitty Space. A couple of minutes ago, I mentioned that Something Wong was one of the queens that left the show with a bad edit, and the other queen that left the show with a bad edit, who's now in the 7th place, is Siam Pussy. What did they do with her? Why did they do it to her? Is it Siam or Siam? They kept saying both of these versions, and I think she herself even said it like a couple of times, like Siam and Siam. But also, what's the pun with pussy? Like, is it just pussy? Is there another pun there that I'm not getting? Never mind. I think Siam's biggest problem in the season was just the language barrier. So for any challenge where she had to speak or improv, she kind of mandatorily was going to do poorly. And Siam's last episode was so bad. She was definitely going through something, and the stress clearly got to her. But the fact that they showed her as this like, oh, crazy, witchy lady, I don't know, it left a really bad taste in my mouth, especially knowing that she was going to get eliminated. Drag Race Philippines editors and producers, you're on my fucking list for this. In the 6th place, we have yet another non-Filipina queen. It's Yuhua. Yuhua had a similar track record to Siam, but they were direct opposites, given that Yuhua was safe 5 weeks in a row, well, once she was low, and then she got a win in episode 6 for the comedy challenge, or like for the Snatch Game challenge of that season, which I think she absolutely killed. I do think there were other points in the season where she could have had a higher placement than safe, but her runway looks were what kind of kept her down, and this is not a fault of Yua's. She had to travel from USA to the Philippines to film this. I doubt that she was able to bring as much as she had wanted or spend as much money as she would have hoped for as the Filipina queens did, because, the travel and everything. Yuhua was the narrator of the season along with Arizona, and seeing Yuhua so much in this season was so great because it proved to us, and hopefully the casting people of the regular Drag Race returnee seasons, that Yuhua needs to be on an all-star season. On home turf, I think that she would have done much better, or that she could do better than she did in this season, even though in this season, I think that she did do pretty well. In the 5th place, a queen that Yuhua absolutely should have eliminated in episode 6, we have Khianna. So Khianna, again, just like Siam, she was in the top 2 in the first episode, and not only that, she was the winner of the first episode, she also won the mini challenge for that episode, and then she was just safe, and then she kept being in the bottom 2 or up for elimination in 3 episodes in a row. What happened? I thought that she was going to be the winner of the season after the first episode because of how excellent she was. I think that she was absolutely robbed of the top 2 placement in episode 2, but it was clear that the show did not see Khianna as a possible winner. She just came off Drag Race Philippines Season 3 not winning the crown. They were not going to crown her right after that on Slaysian Royale. In the 4th place, oh how the mighty have fallen, god damn it. So, Viñas Deluxe. What did we talk about, Viñas? On your first season, you were great in the first half, and then you bombed the second half, and then you got eliminated. And then in this season, quite literally the same thing happened. During the first format, so she was safe, win, high, safe, top 3. And then after the change, she's low, bottom 2. I'm so mad at her. Like, I thought that she was going to be the winner of the season just based on how much she dominated these first 4 episodes and the first part of the competition, and knowing how much the Filipino queens love her. I mean, I love Viñas too, other than the religious fanaticism. That's absolutely fucking crazy. Girl, give it up. Incredible runway looks, incredible performer, really smart comedy. I think that if Viñas is ever on a season that is judged by Ru, she has a chance of winning it because I think that Ru would eat her up completely. Now in the third place, we have the first eliminated, well not eliminated, but the first not advancing into the top 2 queen from the finale. It's Suki doll, the highest placing non-Filipina queen of the season. Suki, my beloved, she came into the season and I was like, this is the cuntiest face anyone has ever had. And her runway looks. Oh my god, her runway looks. Like I talked about Kitty Space, do that, but like on steroids and estrogen, and that Suki doll. However, I do think that she was kind of lacking in comedy and performing aspects of the show, but maybe she doesn't even need to do that because her design and sewing skills are just so incredible. Kind of how Yuka is on Project Runway now or something. I think Suki doll needs to be on Project Runway. I think that she would kill it on a reality show like that. Also, oh my god, my score sheet queen, like, love her. Thank you for that. In the second place, but originally in the third place, it's my future husband, Arizona Brandy. Oh my god, how are you so pretty? What the fuck? Okay, so Arizona was clearly somebody that came into the season with a mission. The mission being that she wanted to show that she wasn't just a comedy queen, but that she could also perform well and that she has good looks. You know, for the most part, her runway looks were pretty good. Why not? And yes, she is a good performer, but truly, like her comedy and just her charisma and her improv skills. I think that had she not had those two bottom 2 placements, like random mishaps that happened in the first half of the season, I think that she could have been a contender for the crown. But compared to the eventual winner, yeah, you could not really compare her to that. Anyway, in the first place is Brigiding. Dominated the season. It's insane that we had All-Stars 10 with Ginger dominating the season with a bit of help from production, and then Brigiding here dominating the season, but not with the help of production. If I were to explain her win or compare it to any other queens, I would say that her track record and her trajectory in the season is a mix of Jinx Monsoon, Bianca Del Rio, and Chad Michaels, meaning that she starts off like Jinx with her track record where she's always near that win, but she doesn't win. And then she gets the win in episode 5. She's like Bianca in that she only once places safe. Everything else is above the safe placement. Now, why did I say she's like Chad? Well, okay, so this is technically the first All-Star season for the Philippines franchise, but, and this is just my opinion, Brigiding does not excite me. The same way that Chad Michaels doesn't excite me. I know that they're both super talented, extremely versatile, very professional, they're good at pretty much everything they do. It doesn't excite me. You know, Arizona is not great at everything, but she excites me. Suki doll is not great at everything, but she excites me. Viñas, I mean, okay, Viñas is pretty great at everything. She excites me. Khianna excites me. Yuhua excites me. You know what I mean? But still, I can recognize that she is excellent, that she is very talented, and I'm glad that she won this season because we should award excellent queens and queens that do well in the challenges that are designed for the season or that are in that season. Even though she didn't technically have a storyline, you could say that her storyline is doing so much better in this season than she did in her original season. Just by comparing her performances, you get a storyline. I actually like that. But yeah, to conclude, I think that it's great that Brigiding won this season. I think she's great representation for the franchise and just the redemption storyline. We finally got a queen win an All-Star season with the redemption storyline. We love to see it. Who's the biggest winner and the biggest loser of the season? The ranking based on the track records is pretty similar to how the queens originally were eliminated, but the biggest winner is Arizona Brandy, which again works because she also had a redemption storyline. She placed 1 placement above her original placement, and all the other queens that placed above or had a better track record than where they placed all had a +1 to their placement. But since Arizona is the highest out of them all, she is our biggest winner. Now the biggest loser is Viñas Deluxe. She placed 2 placements below her original placement, so she placed second originally, but based on her track record, she's 4th. Usually I would have an analysis of the table part of the video, but I'll just leave it on the screen and you guys can fight in the comments. And that's it. That's the video. Do you think the right queen won this season? Who was your favorite going into the season? My favorite going into the season was, of course, Yuhua. Then I watched episode 1, it was Khianna. And then after first 4 episodes, I was like, oh, so it's Viñas winning the season. And then right before the finale, well, what I thought was the finale, I was like, yeah, no, it's Brigiding. It should be Brigiding. My mind. It amazes me sometimes. Thank you for watching.